On January 27, 1945, Soviet troops liberated Auschwitz, the largest Nazi concentration camp and death center. In the following months, Allied troops discovered a whole system of these death factories. The free world discovered one of the most gruesome secrets of the Nazi regime, the Holocaust. The Jewish people were subjected to genocide throughout occupied Europe. In a systematic manner, Nazis killed an estimated 6 million Jews, wiping out entire Jewish communities. Jews who survived the war were left with nothing except deep traumas. In post-war years, these people were forced to build their lives from scratch. A group of young Jews, however, didn't want to carry on before they settled scores. They wanted Germans to pay for their misdeeds. The group strongly believed in the words from the Bible, an eye for an eye, 6 million Germans for 6 million Jews. Welcome to History Unveiled, and today let's reveal a hidden story of the Holocaust survivors who sought the ultimate revenge. The scale of the crimes against humanity committed by Nazis was enormous. After the war, the Allied occupation forces estimated more than 13 million Germans were engaged as Nazi apparatus. Of this number, only 1 million were accused, most of them sentenced to fines, confiscation of looted property, and a brief ban from seeking a role in public administration. When the famous Nuremberg trials began in November 1945, there were only 24 defendants on the bench. By 1949, there were no more than 300 Nazis imprisoned. The communist threat loomed over the countries of Western democracy, and there was no time nor resources to dig deeper into the issue. Already in 1945, the public became aware that many of those responsible for the Holocaust would never face justice. Most Jews who survived the hell of the Holocaust reconciled with the fact as they intended to leave Europe for good. Thousands of them joined the Aliyah, the immigration to the land of Israel. However, there was a group of Jews who simply couldn't let it go. The culprits for the horrors of the Holocaust, they believed, had to be punished and their victims avenged. The group formed a secret organization called Nakam, Hebrew for revenge. Its members called themselves Nakam, the Avengers. Their idea was to retaliate against the Germans with the same measure by killing 6 million people. The group's founder was the Jewish poet from Lithuania, Abba Kovner. Already during the war, Kovner showed resistance to Nazi reprisals against the Jews in the Vilnius ghetto. In his famous manifesto, he called upon his compatriots not to go like lambs to the slaughter. Around 100,000 Jews from the ghetto were killed in the notorious Ponary massacres. Abba Kovner firmly believed if he was to die, it was better to die fighting. From 1942 until the end of the war, Kovner fought the Nazis, first as a Vilnius ghetto rebel, then as a Soviet partisan. The war and the horrors of the Holocaust he witnessed filled Kovner with hatred and a desire for revenge. He invoked Psalm 94, in which God promises that he shall deal with the enemies of the people of Israel. He will repay them for their iniquity and wipe them out for their wickedness. Kovner was not alone in his vindictiveness. In the second half of 1945 in Bucharest, Romania, he and another 50 Jews, most of them former partisans, formed Nakam as a conspiracy group with a goal to kill 6 million Germans as a reprisal for the Holocaust. The organization also used the name Din, Hebrew for judgment, which was also an acronym for Dam Yisrael Noter, the Blood of Israel Avengers. Nakamims, some of them as young as 19, wasted no time realizing their plans. By the end of 1945, they spread across all of Europe. Their headquarters were in Paris, managed by Kovner's deputy and the second man of the organization, Pasha Reichman. There was also a cell in Milan, Italy, in charge of acquiring money for the organization. But most important were the executive cells in major German cities, Munich, Nuremberg, Hamburg, and others. Once they established the network, the group came up with two vicious plans. Plan A was to poison the water systems in big German cities and kill as many citizens as possible. Nakams had no restraint, not even from killing women and children. In their opinion, only catastrophic retributive violence could cure a world. Plan B was to target those most culpable for the crimes against humanity, the former SS members, now prisoners of war. They were to be killed by poisoning the food delivered to them in POW camps. Plan A was set as the primary mission. For its accomplishment, as well as for Plan B, the conspirators, above everything, needed poison. And they needed a lot of it. Usually there was no way one could obtain poison so easily, especially in the large quantities that the Nakams needed. However, the group was not to be deterred by the difficulty. In December 1945, the Nuremberg cell infiltrated the city waterworks. They acquired the scheme of the entire system and started devising a plan to poison the water flow without affecting the city areas occupied by American soldiers. Abba Kovner, being the most prominent figure in the group, took it upon himself to find the poison. The first place he looked for help was Italy. There was stationed a Jewish brigade, a military formation of the British Army composed of Jews from Mandatory Palestine. The brigade was filled with young men eager to fight for the Jewish cause. However, the soldiers of the brigade were not interested in revenge missions. Instead, they wanted to recruit Kovner and members of his group to help organize Aliyah Bet, illegal immigration to Palestine. Kovner refused, as he was too deep in his own plans. Nevertheless, the soldiers of the brigade still helped him. Disguised as a soldier on leave, Abba Kovner went to Mandatory Palestine. Before he set sail, he instructed the group to implement Plan B as a backup. In Mandatory Palestine, Kovner looked for the help of Jewish scientists. As he later claimed in his testimonies, Kovner had met with Chaim Weizmann, the leader of the World Zionist Organization and the future first president of the Republic of Israel. Weizmann happened to be a biochemist, and Kovner believed he could help him obtain the poison. Kovner claimed Weizmann told him that if he were as young as he would have indeed followed him in his intentions. This way he could only point Kovner to the Katzir brothers, Zionists who were also chemists. With their help, Kovner ultimately obtained enough poison for his plans. With poison in Kovner's hands, there was nothing to stop the Nakams from fulfilling their mission. At least they thought so. On December 14, 1945, Abba Kovner boarded the ship to Italy with a special package in his baggage. However, someone tipped off the authorities. As the ship sailed toward Europe, the captain called Abba Kovner's undercover name over the ship's speaker. Aware that his cover was about to be blown, Kovner threw the poison into the sea. He was also arrested by British authorities and deported back to Palestine. The entire plan had collapsed. Abba Kovner never found out who tipped off the British authorities. Many were against his plans, primarily the Zionists who worked diligently on establishing a Jewish state. They feared that if Kovner succeeded and killed many Germans, their ideas of independent Israel would be gravely compromised. By force of circumstances, Nakam was left with Plan B only. Kovner's deputy, Pasha Reichman, approached a friend who worked in the tanning industry and was able to obtain arsenic from him. Over time, Pasha collected enough poison to enforce the plan. 2 POW camps were targeted. The first was Dachau, near Munich, and the second was Stalag 13, near Nuremberg. During the preparations for the action, the Munich cell became compromised. Fearing that the entire operation could be endangered, Reichman ordered them to abort the mission because the whole operation could be jeopardized. It was now all up to Nakam's Nuremberg cell. Nakam's agents noticed that all the bread delivered to prisoners in Stalag 13 came from a single bakery. They managed to infiltrate the bakery using one of their friends who had a typical German look with blonde hair and blue eyes. His name was Liebke Distel. Distel agreed with the owner to work for free, and after 2 months gained both his and the trust of American soldiers who guarded the bakery. During night shifts, he smuggled hot water bags filled with arsenic into the bakery, where he kept them hidden under the floor. On April 13, 1946, the time came to execute the mission. During the night shift, Distel used the opportunity when the guard was changing to sneak 2 friends into the bakery. The 3 of them painted a mixture of glue and poison on the bottom of the bread loaves. By morning, they managed to poison 3,000 loaves. This was supposed to poison 12,000 prisoners. The bread was delivered to the POW camp in the morning without anyone suspecting it was poisoned. Later that day, agents from the Nuremberg cell discovered that more than 2,000 prisoners were poisoned, of which around 200 were hospitalized due to severe poisoning. A report from the New York Times confirmed that an attempt was made to poison SS prisoners of war, but no one died. Plan B had also failed, as Nakams seemed to have spread the poison too thinly. They escaped Germany the same night. On June 23, 1946, 30 Nakams boarded the ship to Mandatory Palestine, where they arrived a month later. There, they were welcomed by Abba Kovner. Their leader introduced them to a new plan: building the State of Israel. The time of vengeance had passed, and the group was asked to put all their effort into building a new Jewish society. While most members accepted the new mission, a couple broke away and returned to Europe to finish what they had started. However, they had no resources or support to continue with the mission. By 1952, they all returned to the now State of Israel. All members of Nakam took a vow of silence. The world knew nothing of their plans and their attempt to kill 6 million Germans as revenge for the Holocaust. It was not until 1999 that 2 Nakams openly spoke about the plan for the first time. It was a shocking revelation, mainly to the German public, who were unaware of the danger that once loomed over their heads. By the force of law, the German prosecutors opened an investigation, which only a year later was closed due to unusual circumstances. Abba Kovner died years before the truth about Nakam saw the light of day. Many other Nakams lived well into old age. Many of them repented for being misled by the hatred. Others, on the other hand, regretted missing the opportunity to avenge the death of 6 million Jews killed by the vicious Nazi regime. Do you have any more intriguing and secret stories from the past that you'd like us to cover? Tell us in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching History Unveiled.